The deep ocean golden orb mystery has been solved.
Hi, everybody, it's Weird.
This is like crazy being here.
Weird.
Really weird tales.
Bigfoot eats out of my trash.
Well, I got a great joke for you today with some wonderful weird stuff.
Hi, friends. I'm Scott. This show is called What a Weird Week. We look back at all the weird news of the week. You can get the odd, the fun, the interesting stories in more detail on our blog. Get all the show notes. Shownotes.page is where everything is. Shownotes.page. Here's our episode for Friday, May 8, 2026.
Number 10.
Number 10 is beauty products made into cookies. Maybe you've had this experience before where there's a beauty product or a candle. A lot of times it's a candle for me. It smells so good and you wish you could eat it. And perhaps you have tried to take a bite of a candle when no one's around. In a moment of weakness, you're like, this smells too good. Salted caramel, I'm taking a bite of this thing. And then it's not good. That candle was not meant to be consumed. Well, the folks at Monday Hair Care have products that smell so good, and they decided as promotion, they would turn around and bake cookies based on some of their products. Pistachio Gloss Bomb is a pistachio and white chocolate cookie inspired by one of their products that used to just be a beauty product. Now it's also a cookie. So if you want to check out more, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's not my space. I don't really understand all of that, the beauty care and all that. But once you brought cookies into the equation, now you got my attention. So if that's what you were going for, Monday Hair Care, well done.
Number 9.
Number 9 is a follow-up to a mystery we talked about on this program before, a mysterious golden orb that was found 2 miles deep in the ocean, the Gulf of Alaska. So researchers were observing things deep in the ocean, and they saw this mysterious golden orb. Nobody knew for sure what it was. Probably aliens, right? Or ghosts. But it turns out they finally figured out what it was. They were able to, run it through CODIS. That's not really it, but they did DNA analysis of some sort. They don't have CODIS for golden orbs, I don't think, but they were able to determine that the mysterious gold orb is something left behind by a giant deep sea anemone. They get into more detail in the article. I'll link to it, but I'm just going to say case closed. Let's move on to number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8 is a story about mushrooms and fish, which one of our most clicked episodes in the last 6 weeks has been the episode with the fish doorbell and your shoes are made of mushrooms. So I think we're going to try to get as many fish and mushroom stories in as possible. It seems to be the secret formula that's going to eventually help us overtake Rogan or Court Junkie. We're coming for you guys with our fish and mushroom story. We're going to be at the top of the charts, baby. This one is from Popular Science, and the headline is Magic Mushrooms Make Mean Fish Lazier and More Chill. And I don't know where you stand on magic mushrooms. Some people say magic mushrooms are the wave of the future and have the potential to make people well. And then other people say, whoa, pump your brakes on the magic mushrooms. I'm trying to stay open-minded about all of that. I tend to be a brake pumper myself, but I'm keeping an open mind. And this research seems to indicate that you can take a mean fish, and through the magic mushrooms implementation, that mean fish now becomes a chill fish. Imagine the implications. You could go scuba diving with barracuda or deadly piranha, but they're not bloodthirsty anymore. They just want to hang out. That sounds delightful. And that's as far as I'll go on that story, but I will link to the whole thing. You can click the show notes or go to shownotes.page.
Number 7.
Number 7, a quick Bigfoot story. The headline from Fox News is New Evidence Surfaces in Northeast Ohio Bigfoot Flap, including alleged tracks and unexplained howls. If you follow the Bigfoot situation, you know that's a lot of the evidence we get. Mysterious noises and tracks. Sometimes blurry photos or video, sometimes clear photos and video too. But I'm a city slicker. I can't make sense of any of the wildlife in any photos. I'm keeping an open mind about Bigfoot. This article doesn't link to the howls. And if you don't follow Bigfoot stuff, some of the howls sound like coyotes a bit, yipping coyotes. But then there's some other strange noises too that allegedly are Bigfoot communication maybe. And the thing we all show up for on these articles is show me the photo. And they do have a photo in the article, but the quote isn't, I can't tell if it's a reenactment They don't say, here's a photo of maybe a Bigfoot. They just have a quote, like Ohio Bigfoot stuff is happening. And then they have this photo. So I don't know if that's a real photo or a reenactment. Looks kind of sus to me. Perhaps a gorilla suit. Anyway, if you want to check it out, I don't know if you're a true believer, skeptic, or somewhere in between. But I will link to all of that in the show notes or go to shownotes.page.
Number 6.
Number 6 is a twofer, a couple of different financial things, studies that indicate we're worried about money and it ain't great for us. So this is not a happy story. Why are we including it in our fun, weird news program? Well, more on that in a second. First, the article from Study Finds. The first one, they look at a study of 15,000 people in England. It's a 15-year study, so sizable study. And essentially, my takeaway is the more financial worries you have, the older you get. The faster you age, maybe is how I would say that. You get older faster when you have financial stress. That's my takeaway. You can read the whole thing. Do a deep dive on that one if you want. I'll link to it in the show notes. The other one is a 2,000 people United States of America study where we would give up most of what we earn annually just for peace of mind. I think the average was $57,000 a year. We would pay that out. We would give up that much salary just to have peace of mind, to stop worrying. So we know the value of peace of mind, it would seem. It's $57,000. So what do you do with that? How do we stop worrying about money? Not easy. Whenever I used to go visit my Grammy when I was a young lad and I was worried about something, my Grammy would say, try not to worry. So that's my first piece of advice. Not easy, but I guess solid advice. If you can manage it, try not to worry. Every year, we have stories on this program about people who find coins in their garden or a rare painting at a garage sale that's worth a lot of money. Sometimes it's something at the thrift shop that's worth a lot of money. And then there's Crater of Diamonds State Park, United States of America. It's named after diamonds. And every year we have at least one story of somebody who's found a diamond. They've gone there and they've found a diamond that's worth a sizable amount of money. Now, I have no affiliation with Crater of Diamonds State Park. I'm in East Coast Canada. We have no parks named after diamonds, but I'm fascinated by the place, so I will put a link in the show notes.
Number 5.
This is a weird story, a good news story, a scary story, all of that rolled into one. It's about the fellow named Carl. He was teaching a class on CPR and went into cardiac arrest, and his students, who I assume all got A+ after this, they saved him. They rescued him. The article says Carl underwent triple bypass surgery, and he's amazed that he's alive. Carl says in the article, I had a heart attack, I had the surgery, and I walked out of that hospital 7 days later. Kind of a miracle. You're teaching CPR, you have a heart attack, and your students come to your rescue. Probably they'd want to impress their teacher too, so they would try really hard. Well done, students, and well done, Carl.
Number 4.
Number 4 is all alleged right now, so innocent until proven guilty, but there is an exotic dancer in the news being accused of using the pole, the dancing pole that one would use at an exotic dancing place, using that pole as some sort of makeshift weapon. That is the allegation. This is an exotic dancer in Florida who was asked to leave their place of work and allegedly got angry and eventually used the pole to go after a manager. The article gets into a little bit more detail, but I would like to, first of all, no photos. So if that's what you were going for, no photos there. The article describes the pole being waved around at security and then being launched towards the manager. Again, that's all alleged right now, innocent until proven guilty. I have some questions. I haven't seen one of those. Honestly, I live a button-down life. I have not seen one of those poles up close. I thought they were heftier. I thought, are they that easy to detach? I have a lot of questions, but I probably won't go looking for answers. My wife would not appreciate my doing research on this story, probably, so I guess I'll just continue to have questions.
Number 3.
Number 3 is a story I'm calling Make This One Quick Change to Your Exercise Routine and You Will Live Forever and Ever and Ever. Citation, you won't really live forever. But it's a good news story, and it is from Science Daily. Their headline is, "This one change to your exercise routine could add years to your life." And I'm going to cut right to it. Variety. The gist of this whole article is that instead of adding more weights or running further or doing more harder things, do a variety of things. According to this article, 100,000 people over 3 decades. Pretty sizable study. Now, I'm not a scientist. Please read the study. Consult your physician before embarking on any physical activity or all Pop-Tarts diet. I'll just throw that one in too because Pop-Tarts are delicious. But anyway, back to the exercise. Here's one of the quotes from the article in Science Daily. "Regularly engaging in a variety of physical activities could be one of the most effective ways to extend lifespan." That's kind of the takeaway. But again, I'm not smart. Read the whole article and decide for yourself. I'll link to it if you go to shownotes.page. But it would seem as though variety is the way to go for exercise.
Number 2.
This would seem like good news if this all bears out. The research, especially if you like eggs, this article and study finds talking about research that would seem to indicate eating eggs regularly might significantly slash Alzheimer's risk. More research is needed. Like, this is a connection right now between eating eggs and the lowered risk of Alzheimer's disease. It's a connection. It is not proof. So it's important to remember that. But it seems like the sweet spot is eating eggs 5 or more times a week. People who did that, ate eggs regularly, had lower Alzheimer's diagnosis rates over 15 years. Based on the data from this study. But again, to be continued. Consult your physician. Talk to your doctor. Maybe talk to an egg farmer. Eggs are expensive. Talk to your banker and see if you can afford the eggs 5 times a week diet. Factor all of that in. Read the article. Go to shownotes.page. Honorable mention. I don't know how I'm going to mention this honorable mention because I try not to get too saucy there, PG-13 once in a while, but a fellow who was doing it for a good cause, trying to raise awareness for prostate cancer research. But what he did and what he did it with, I don't want to get into it. I'll link to it. Well, it had to do with pulling a car. A fellow pulled a car 131 feet. I can say that. He didn't use his hands. That's it. I'm done. He did not use his hands. End of story. You could click the show notes to find out more. That is honorable mention number 1. Honorable mention. A UFO or UAP, unidentified object in the air in British Columbia, Canada. We'll link to this and you can check the photo. It's some sort of blobby light or maybe bell-shaped light. A number of reports in British Columbia by residents across hundreds of miles. People seeing this thing in the sky. A glowing object that may have been a weather balloon. Wait, we've heard that one before. Don't you hit us with that weather balloon stuff again. But it might have been a weather balloon. If you want to see the photo, we will link to that in the show notes.
Number 1.
Number 1 is an incredible nature rescue story involving a heron and a giant oyster. I mean, I've never heard of this before.
Saturday, one participant, a biologist with the Marine Mammal Rescue, noticed a blue heron experiencing difficulty. Her leg was caught between some rocks, and with the tide rising, time was running out. When members of the BC Wildlife Response Team arrived, things got a little bit more complicated. The rock was actually a giant 18-centimeter long oyster. Her toe was caught between the 2 shell halves.
That's a bit of the video released by the Animal Hospital in Maple Ridge, British Columbia. And in case you zoned out during that video, there's a heron in the water. Its leg is stuck in a giant oyster. The oyster clamped on like a bear trap. Clamped onto that heron, and somebody noticed, the right person noticed, and that heron was rescued. I'll link to the video of the rescue. They basically shuck the oyster right off that heron is how I would describe it. I'm sure there was more to it than just that. But thank you to people who help the creatures of this earth. Thank you for what you do. Well done saving this heron. You know, if you hear this story and you're like, wow, that was uplifting, you probably have an animal hospital or an animal rescue where you are that could use a couple of bucks, or maybe you could donate a little time. I don't know. I'm not an animal crusader. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'll just put that out there. All right, that's it for What a Weird Week. I appreciate when you tune in to our program. Thank you for telling a friend or an enemy and sharing some stuff around. Also appreciate that. If you want our show notes, everything is at shownotes.page. That is our show notes page, shownotes.page. We're back next Friday with 10 more stories, more weird news on What a Weird Week.